And welcome to the Upper Cumberland Camera. Later on tonight's show, we'll take a look at last month's Fentress County Bluegrass Festival. But first tonight, a look at a new interest developing in an old sport. In the era of Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and Zaxxon, the age-old game of marbles may strike you as a little old-fashioned. And the idea that grown men would gather for 12 hours of marble playing, surrounded by a crowd of fans, might seem stranger still. But that's just what happened at the Standing Stone State Park near Livingston, Tennessee. It was the National Rolley Hole Marble Championship, and Rolley Hole players from all over met at the state park near the Tennessee-Kentucky border for a day of championship marble play. Organizer of the event, State Park Service naturalist Bob Fulcher, described the game of Rolley Hole marbles.
The game of Rolley Hole has been played all over the state of Tennessee, but with variations. Here they play it with 3 holes spread out at equal distances through the center of a yard, a marble yard. In some places they play it with 4 holes or even 5 holes in a different arrangement. The game as it's played out here today probably hasn't changed in over 100 years. Bud Garrett remembers his grandfather playing it back in slavery times. And the rules haven't changed much. They vary a little bit from yard to yard. And the rules we have here this year may be changed next year, like in the World Series with the designated hitter batting rule. We want to make it fair for everybody from year to year and try the different rules so the variations won't die out either, as we're not interested in standardizing the game at all.
The atmosphere at a Rolley Hole marble tournament is all business. After some preliminary warm-up shots on the sidelines, the players take the yard. The players are silent, except for an occasional discussion of strategy between the 2 members of each team. The crowd, too, is silent, reflecting the importance of this game, for not only money and trophies are at stake, but the prestige of a title of national champion of Rolley Hole marbles.
Both players on a team have 1 marble, and each player out there is trying to get his marble through a series of holes up that yard and back down the yard, up again, up again, and down again. That would be 3 times up and down the marble yard. Now, on the way up and down, he's going to be meeting his opponents and shooting them, knocking their marbles away from the holes, trying to keep them out of the holes. So it is certainly a game of strategy. You know, like in the game of checkers, it's all strategy. It doesn't take any expertise to move a check around the board. In the traditional sport of shooting, it's all technical skill, but here we've got both. We've got great technical skill in shooting the marble and strategy in evaluating your opponent, his strengths and weaknesses. Many times they'll roll that marble just far enough out, they think, to draw his fire, but far enough away where he might miss or not be able to get back to a hole, and then their partner can move in that hole. And they really spend a lifetime developing and learning a strategy to play with. With each partner, they've got to have a different strategy. With each opponent, they'll have to play a different strategy.
The court where Rolley Hole marble games take place is called a yard and is actually a specialized piece of construction, 40 feet long and 25 feet wide. The yard at the Standing Stone State Park was constructed during a recent renovation of the facility. Marble experts consider the yard to be a good one.
We built this marble yard just this summer. Started in June, and the players are very happy with the yard, actually. Marble yards take about 3 years to become perfect, for the ground to settle and be compacted just right. You'll notice the players out there enjoy having a nice powdery surface on the yard. Before each shot, they'll sweep their hand through that like talcum powder, and that will allow them to squeeze that marble out. It'll come out smooth. If the yard's too sandy, they'll have what they call a dry thumb. And we had to take great care in building this yard, and we have, these marble players are really the ones that finished it off. Once we got the materials down, they came out here and worked it over and really worked their tails off getting a great marble yard set up.
The day-long Rolley Hole marble tournament was a chance for lifelong marble fans to gather and exchange stories and marbles. traditional marble maker Bud Garrett demonstrated how the prized flint marbles are made. There was no talk of Glassies or Aggies at this tournament, but Rolley hole marble shooting has its own special language.
Players span before each shot. In other words, they're allowed to put their hand down on the court, and they get to move up the length of their hand and shoot that marble. Now, of course, every player has a different size hand, but they all get to go the length of their own hand. Can't use anyone else's. An old term that a lot of people are talking about is fudging, and that's when someone maybe gets their hand is a little long. They put that span out there and then go past it. Hear people talk about taking a ride on other marbles. And Bud Garrett, a marble maker out here, talks about his marbles. He calls them horses a lot because people are riding them all the time. When you take a ride, you hit your opponent's marble and go on to the next one or go up to the next hole. That's when you're playing for position.
The Rolley Hole Marble Tournament lasted for 12 hours and included 16 teams of competitors. Reporters from all over the country gathered to cover the event. Yet, until recently, Rolley Hole marble playing seemed to be a dying art. The attractions of modern life were threatening the survival of an old and honored game.
It seems like about 10 years ago, the children stopped playing. So we've got a lot of players in their early 30s, but just a few in their 20s and fewer in their teens. And now if you went to a schoolyard, I don't know if you'd find any kids out there playing Rolley Hole. Now, maybe we can change that. That's one project we'll be working on here at Standing Stone, encouraging schools maybe to put a marble yard back in this area. It's an important regional sport, and the skills that have been handed down and taught by senior partners to junior partners, by old people to young people, I hope they'll stay around a lot of time. They make life very interesting up here, and we want to keep that going on. I think we can do it.
This year's interest in the marble tournament by the media and by marble fans suggests that Rolley Hole marbles may be developing a whole new following. As night fell, play continued until the competition was down to 2 teams, Russell Collins of Pine Hill, Tennessee, and Doyle Roten of Midway, versus the team of Wayne Roten, Doyle's brother, of Moss, Tennessee, and Ralph Roberts of Turkey Creek. Collins and Roten were crowned national champions of Rolley Hole marbles. They received prize money, a plaque, and the knowledge that next year there would be plenty of competitors to challenge them in the traditional game of Rolley Hole marbles.